Before we begin, take a moment to get comfortable. You don't need to do anything special. Just allow your body to settle where it is. If you're in bed, let your body soften into the surface. If you're resting somewhere else, that's perfectly fine. There's no right way to listen. You don't need to stay focused or follow every word. This story is here to keep you company as you rest. Falling asleep or drifting in and out is perfect. That's perfectly fine too. The pace will remain slow. The tone will stay gentle. Nothing sudden will happen. You can let the sound of the voice fade into the background whenever you want. The words don't need to be remembered. Take one easy breath in and let it go slowly. Whenever you're ready, we'll begin. You are already floating. There is nothing to adjust and nothing to prepare. Your body is weightless, without effort, supported completely, held in place by nothing at all. The space around you is wide and calm, dark, but not empty, quiet, but not silent. You do not need to look anywhere in particular. The stars exist whether you notice them or not. They remain distant and steady, unmoving in any urgent way. Your breathing happens on its own, slow, even, unconcerned. There is no surface beneath you and no sky above you, only space, open in every direction, a gentle suspension that asks nothing from you. You float without drifting toward anything. No forward motion, no backward pull. Just a soft sense of being exactly where you are. The stars are scattered far apart, each one small and patient. They do not flicker or demand attention. They simply remain. Your thoughts are free to loosen. They are not needed here. If one appears, it passes through like a faint ripple and fades on its own. The temperature around you is neutral, neither warm nor cool, comfortable in a way that requires no awareness. Your arms feel light, your legs feel light, your jaw unclenches without being asked. There is no need to hold your body in any position. It arranges itself naturally, balanced, effortless. The space around you feels stable, unchanging, reliable. Nothing approaches, nothing recedes. Nothing interrupts this quiet suspension. Time begins to soften here. Minutes lose their edges. Moments blend gently together. You do not need to stay awake for this. Floating continues whether you are aware of it or not. The experience does not depend on attention. The darkness is soft, not heavy. It does not press in. It simply exists, wide and open. Each breath settles you further into stillness, not deeper, not farther, just calmer. There is no story unfolding, only this steady, peaceful state of being held in space. You are safe to rest here. Nothing changes suddenly. Nothing requires a response. The stars remain where they are. Your body remains where it is. Everything is already arranged. And you continue to float, quietly, easily, without effort. Nothing changes all at once. You are still floating, held in the same quiet suspension. The stillness remains steady around you. But far below, the presence of the earth begins to soften. There is no motion you need to follow, no sense of traveling, only a gentle awareness that distance is slowly increasing. The air beneath you grows thinner without effort, as though it is simply deciding to step back. Clouds appear below, wide and slow, layered softly on one another. They do not rush past. They drift, unhurried. Their edges blur gently, dissolving as they pass. Sound fades first. What little noise once existed dulls and quiets until there is only silence again. You remain calm and supported. Your body does not respond to altitude or change. It stays relaxed, neutral, and light. The clouds thin further. Their shapes stretch and soften, becoming pale and distant. They do not demand attention. Below them, the surface of the earth rests quietly, not vivid, not detailed, just a calm presence far away. There is no sense of leaving. Nothing is being left behind. Distance grows naturally, without effort or intention. The colors below mute and fade. Greens and blues soften into gentle tones. Edges lose definition. You do not feel higher. You do not feel farther. You simply feel calm. The pull of gravity loosens without announcement. Your body responds by relaxing even more. Muscles release their last unnecessary tension. Your breathing remains slow and even. It does not change pace. It does not deepen or quicken. The earth continues to recede, quietly, becoming smaller in the background, becoming less important. There is no moment where space begins, no line to cross. The transition happens so gently, it barely registers you. Darkness spreads softly around you, not heavy, not complete, just calm and wide. Stars begin to appear again. Not suddenly, not brightly. They arrive slowly, as though they have always been there. Each one remains distant and steady. They do not flicker or move. They offer no message. The earth below is now simply a shape, muted, quiet, at rest. You feel no attachment to it, no need to watch it, no reason to remember it. Your body floats exactly as it did before, balanced, supported, at ease. There is nothing to orient yourself by, no up or down, only space extending gently in every direction. Time stretches here, seconds soften, minutes blur. Your thoughts slow without being guided. If one appears, it drifts away easily. It does not stay. The stars remain constant. The darkness remains soft. Nothing introduces itself as new. You are held in the same peaceful state, uninterrupted, unchanging. Floating continues without effort, without awareness, without expectation. And the calm settles deeper, naturally, as space opens fully around you. The space around you remains steady and quiet. Nothing introduces itself. Nothing asks to be noticed. The stars stay distant, evenly spaced, calm. They do not move closer. They do not drift away. Your body continues to float exactly as it is. There is no need to adjust your position. No part of you feels heavy or strained. Awareness becomes softer, not fading completely, just loosening its grip. The idea of direction dissolves. There is no sense of facing anywhere, no front, no back. The darkness around you feels familiar now, comfortable, predictable. It holds no surprises. It remains the same from moment to moment. Breathing stays slow and natural. Air moves in and out without effort, each breath quieter than the last. Your shoulders feel loose. Your hands rest without tension. Your legs feel gently suspended. Nothing needs to be monitored. Nothing needs to be remembered. The quiet deepens slightly. Not darker, just more complete. Thoughts have less structure now. They no longer form full shapes. They drift through as faint impressions and dissolve. There is no reason to follow them. They pass on their own. The space around you feels endless in a calm way. Not vast, not overwhelming, just open enough to feel free. The earth is no longer present in your awareness, not because it disappeared, but because it no longer matters. What remains is stillness, unbroken, reliable. Your body understands this place instinctively. It responds by resting more fully, by letting go of any remaining effort. Muscles soften further, jaw relaxed, forehead smooth. Nothing pulls at your attention. Nothing interrupts the flow of calm. The sense of floating becomes less noticeable, not because it ends, but because it feels normal. Time continues to stretch quietly. Moments blend together without edges. You do not need to stay aware of any of this. The calm holds whether you notice it or not. The stars remain distant. The darkness remains gentle. The space remains open. Everything stays the same. And that sameness feels safe. You continue to float, quietly, effortlessly. The stillness supports you completely. There is nothing more to do, nothing more to follow. And the calm remains. The quiet remains, unbroken. Nothing enters the space around you. Nothing leaves it. The stillness feels settled now, as if it has always been this way, as if it expects nothing else. Your awareness drifts without direction. There is no point to return to, no place to arrive. The stars remain distant markers of calm. They do not grow brighter. They do not fade. They simply exist. Your breathing continues softly, each breath smaller than the one before, barely noticeable. Your body feels neutral, not light, not heavy, just present without effort. The sense of floating no longer requires attention. It happens naturally, like rest. There is no need to check your surroundings. Nothing has changed. Nothing will change. The darkness stays smooth and even. It does not press in. It does not expand. It simply holds. Thought becomes optional here. If it appears, it does so gently, without urgency, without detail, and then it fades. The idea of time loosens further. Minutes stretch thin. Seconds dissolve. There is no before. There is no after. Only this calm continuity. Your shoulders sink a little more, not downward, just inward. The muscles in your face soften completely. Your mouth rests easily. Your eyes remain still. Nothing pulls your attention outward. Nothing draws it inward. Everything stays balanced. The stars remain evenly spaced. Their presence is steady and reassuring. They do not signal movement or change. The space between them feels calm, not empty, just quiet. Your body rests within that quiet, supported fully, without pressure. The absence of sound feels complete now, not something missing, something settled. The stillness becomes familiar, comforting, reliable. Nothing interrupts it, and rest continues naturally, quietly, effortlessly. The absence of sound feels complete now, not something missing, something settled. The stillness becomes familiar, comforting, reliable. Your breathing continues its gentle rhythm, in, out, without thought. Each breath settles you further into ease, not deeper, just steadier. The feeling of you grows lighter, less defined, less important. There is nothing to hold on to, nothing to let go of. Everything is already released. The stars remain unchanged. The darkness remains soft. The space remains open. Your body continues to float exactly as it has been, balanced, at rest. Awareness drifts gently, without forming edges, without attaching to anything. The calm remains uninterrupted, unquestioned, complete. Nothing new appears. Nothing fades away. The stillness stays with you, holding you quietly, effortlessly, and you continue to float, calm, unmoving, at ease. The calm remains steady. Nothing prepares you for anything else. Nothing leads forward. The space around you holds its shape, unchanging, reliable. Your body continues to rest exactly as it is, supported without pressure, floating without motion. Breathing stays slow and quiet, each breath gentle enough to fade as soon as it passes. There is no need to notice it. The stars remain distant and constant. They do not call attention to themselves. They do not move. The darkness around you stays soft and even, not deepening, not thinning, just present. Awareness settles into a quieter state, less focused, less defined. Thoughts no longer form clearly. They soften before taking shape, and then disappear. There is no effort in this. Nothing is being done. Your body understands how to rest here. It responds by staying still, by remaining calm. Time loses its meaning completely. Moments stretch gently, then blend together. Nothing marks their passing. The sense of floating becomes background, so familiar it no longer stands out. The space holds you without change, without expectation. Everything remains exactly as it should be. Nothing shifts, nothing interrupts. The calm is complete now, stable, settled. You are held in it easily, without awareness, without thought. And the floating continues, quietly, effortlessly. The space around you feels wider now, not because it has changed, but because your awareness has softened enough to notice less. The stars seem farther apart, not moving away, simply resting at a greater distance. The darkness between them grows calmer, smoother, more even. There is no sense of scale to measure anymore, no reference point to compare. Space stretches quietly in every direction, without edge, without boundary. Your body remains exactly as it has been, floating, supported, at ease. There is no effort required to remain here, no adjustment needed. The quiet deepens slightly, not darker, just broader. Thought has less structure now. Ideas do not complete themselves. They soften and dissolve before forming meaning. If awareness drifts, it does so gently, without direction, without attachment. The stars no longer feel separate from the space around them. They exist as part of the same calm field, steady, unchanging. There is no need to look at them, no reason to count or follow. They remain whether they are noticed or not. The sense of floating becomes more subtle, not because it fades, but because it no longer needs attention. Your breathing continues quietly, barely noticeable, barely felt. Each breath blends into the stillness around it, leaving no trace. Time stretches thinner. Here, moments lose their shape. They overlap gently. There is no awareness of passing, only continuity. The space feels larger now, but in a way that feels safe, open without being empty. Nothing approaches, nothing recedes. Everything remains steady. Your body rests naturally within this openness. Muscles remain loose. Joints remain soft. There is no tension to release. Nothing left to relax. The darkness holds a quiet consistency. It does not deepen. It does not lift. It simply remains. Awareness becomes less personal, less centered on the body, more diffuse. There is no clear boundary between you and the space around you, only a shared stillness. Thought becomes unnecessary, not pushed away, just no longer relevant. If a thought appears, it passes through gently, leaving nothing behind. The stars remain distant points of calm. They do not guide. They do not signal. They simply exist within the same quiet field. Space feels endless now, not vast, not impressive, just open enough to feel free. Your sense of self grows lighter, less defined, less important. There is nothing to hold on to, nothing to maintain. Everything is already supported. The quiet becomes more complete, not louder, not deeper, just more present. Breathing continues softly, each breath smaller than the last, almost indistinguishable from the stillness. The body floats without awareness, without commentary, without need. There is no anticipation here, no next moment waiting, only this steady openness. The stars blur slightly, not visually, but in importance. They are no longer points of focus, just part of the background calm. Space expands gently in every direction, without edge, without distance. Time continues to lose its meaning. Seconds dissolve, minutes thin. Nothing marks their passing. Awareness settles into a quieter layer, one that does not require naming or understanding. The stillness supports everything equally: body, breath, thought. Nothing stands out. The space feels complete, balanced, reliable. You remain floating, held in the same calm suspension. There is no need to remember where you are, no need to define it. This openness holds you naturally, without effort, without awareness. And the calm continues, wide, even, unbroken. The openness remains steady. Space feels evenly balanced now, not expanding quickly, not settling inward, just present. The stars feel more distant in meaning than in distance. They are no longer points to notice, only part of the quiet background. The darkness between them feels smooth, unbroken, consistent. There is nothing to compare this moment to, no earlier state to return to, no next state forming. Your body remains supported without sensation. Floating continues without awareness. Rest happens on its own. Breathing stays subtle, almost indistinguishable from the stillness around it. In, out. Each breath blends softly into the quiet. Awareness becomes less focused, less interested in form, less inclined to observe. Thought does not disappear. It simply loses its shape. Ideas soften before they form, then fade without completion. There is no effort in letting this happen. Nothing is being released. Thing is being held. The space feels calm in a neutral way, not comforting, not empty, just stable. There are no edges to notice, no center to locate. The sense of being somewhere loosens. Place becomes less defined. Position loses meaning. Your body does not respond to this. It remains at ease, unchanged. Muscles stay loose. Breath stays slow. Nothing tightens. The stillness becomes familiar, predictable, reliable. Nothing interrupts it. Time thins further. Moments overlap gently, then dissolve. There is no awareness of passing, only continuity. The stars remain, but they no longer feel separate. They are part of the same quiet field, unmoving, unremarkable. The space around you feels complete, balanced, without effort. Nothing enters, nothing leaves. Awareness drifts without direction, without destination. There is no need to follow it. The calm remains consistent, unquestioned, unbroken. Breathing continues softly, barely noticed, barely felt. Your body floats as if it always has, as if this state requires nothing else. The absence of change feels safe, reassuring in its sameness. There is no anticipation, no waiting, only this steady openness. Thought fades further into the background. It no longer forms sentences, only faint impressions that pass through and dissolve. Nothing needs to be named. Nothing needs to be understood. The space holds everything equally. Body, breath, awareness. Nothing stands out. The quiet feels settled now, as if it has reached a natural balance. Floating continues without awareness, without commentary. The stars remain distant and steady. The darkness remains soft and even. Everything stays the same, and that sameness feels calm. The openness settles. Nothing widens further. Nothing draws inward. The space holds its balance quietly, even, reliable. Your body remains suspended without sensation. Floating no longer feels like movement. It feels like rest. Breathing continues on its own, soft, unremarkable. Each breath passes without leaving a trace. Awareness grows quieter still, less interested in form, less inclined to notice. Thought no longer organizes itself. It softens before becoming clear, then fades. There is no effort in this. Nothing is being guided. The stars remain distant and unchanged. They do not attract attention. They simply remain part of the background calm. The darkness stays smooth and even, unbroken, consistent. There is no sense of location now, no feeling of being anywhere in particular, only stillness, only continuity. Time dissolves completely. Moments no longer separate from one another. They blend without edges. Nothing marks their passing. Your body understands this quiet instinctively. It responds by staying at ease, by remaining still. There is nothing to anticipate, nothing approaching, nothing resolving. Everything stays exactly as it is. The calm feels complete now, settled, stable. Floating continues without awareness, without commentary, without effort. And the stillness holds. The space remains calm and even. Nothing draws attention now. Nothing asks to be noticed. The sense of sight softens. Stars feel less distinct. Not gone, just less defined. Light fades into background presence. Darkness becomes neutral, smooth, unremarkable. There is no contrast to follow, no shape to focus on. The body rests without sensation, not floating, not still, simply at ease. Breathing continues quietly, barely felt, barely heard. Each breath passes without effort, without awareness. Temperature feels neutral, neither warm nor cool. Comfortable without needing description. There is no air to feel against the skin, no pressure, no weight. Touch dissolves into absence, not numbness, just nothing to notice. The sense of position fades. There is no up, no down. The body does not register location. It does not need to. Sound has no presence here. Silence feels complete, settled. Nothing interrupts it. Awareness grows quieter, less interested in input, less inclined to observe. Thoughts lose their edges. They soften before forming, then fade. There is no effort in letting them go. They leave on their own. The idea of space becomes abstract, not wide, not small, just present. There is no sense of distance, no sense of movement, only continuity. The body remains relaxed, muscles stay loose, joints remain soft. Nothing tightens, nothing responds. Breathing blends into the stillness, in, out, almost indistinguishable. Time no longer feels linear. Moments overlap gently, then dissolve. There is no awareness of before or after, only this steady state. Sensations continue to fade. Sight, sound, touch, all become background. Awareness does not need to process anything now. There is nothing to interpret. The body rests, as if sleep is already present, as if the transition has already happened. Breathing continues, quiet, automatic. Awareness thins further, less personal, less defined. There is no boundary between you and the calm around you, only stillness. Nothing remains to focus on. Nothing remains to release. Everything is already settled. The quiet holds without effort, without variation, and rest continues naturally. The calm remains unchanged. Nothing sharpens, nothing brightens. Awareness stays soft and unfocused. There is no reason to look, no reason to listen. Sight fades further into neutrality. Light and dark no longer contrast. They simply exist without distinction. The body rests without registering sensation. No weight, no pressure, just ease. Breathing continues quietly, so subtle it barely registers. In, out. Each breath blends into the stillness and disappears. Temperature remains neutral, comfortable without being noticed. No warmth to follow, no coolness to register. Touch has no presence. There is nothing against the skin, nothing to feel. The sense of position dissolves further. No orientation remains, no reference point. The body does not ask where it is. It does not need to know. Sound remains absent. Silence feels complete and stable, uninterrupted. Awareness settles into a quieter layer, less interested in sensation, less inclined to form thoughts. Thought becomes faint, unstructured, passing without shape. If a thought appears, it softens immediately and fades. There is no effort involved. Nothing is being guided. The idea of space loses meaning. Not large, not small, just present without definition. Movement has no relevance here. Stillness does not stand out. Everything feels even. The body remains relaxed. Muscles stay loose. No tension returns. Breathing continues at its own pace. Quiet, automatic. Time no longer feels measurable. Moments overlap without separation. They blend and dissolve. Nothing marks their passing. Awareness thins further. Less personal, less centered. There is no sense of self to maintain. Nothing to monitor. The calm remains consistent, reliable, unchanging. Sensory input continues to fade into background presence. Sight, sound, touch, all quiet. The body rests as if sleep is already settled, as if nothing more needs to happen. Breathing continues softly, barely noticed. Awareness drifts without direction, without interest. Nothing stands out, nothing pulls attention. Everything feels settled now, balanced, complete. The stillness holds without variation, without interruption, and rest continues naturally. The quiet remains steady. Nothing sharpens. Nothing changes. Awareness stays loose and unfocused. There is no reason to notice anything in particular. Sight has almost no presence now. Light and dark no longer feel separate. They exist without contrast. The body rests without registering sensation. No weight, no outline, just ease. Breathing continues quietly, so soft it barely registers, each breath passing without effort. There is no sense of air moving, no rise or fall to follow. Temperature remains neutral, neither warm nor cool. Comfort without definition. Touch has faded completely. Nothing presses against the body. Nothing needs to be felt. The sense of position dissolves further. No up, no down. The body does not locate itself. It does not need to. Sound has no presence here. Silence feels complete, unbroken. Awareness no longer searches for input. It settles naturally, undemanding. Thought has little structure now. Ideas do not form clearly. They soften and dissolve before becoming distinct. Nothing needs to be guided away. Nothing lingers. The idea of space feels abstract, not wide, not narrow, just present without form. Movement no longer registers. Stillness does not stand out. Everything feels even. The body remains relaxed. Muscles stay loose. No tension returns. Breathing continues on its own. Quiet, automatic. Time has no clear meaning here. Moments overlap gently, then fade. There is no awareness of passing, only continuity. Awareness thins further, less personal, less defined. There is no sense of holding attention, nothing to focus on, nothing to release. The calm feels stable and complete, reliable in its sameness. Nothing enters, nothing leaves. The body rests as if sleep is already present, as if the transition has already occurred. Breathing continues softly, barely noticed. Awareness drifts without direction, without interest. Nothing stands out. Nothing interrupts. Everything feels settled, balanced, at rest. The stillness remains unchanged, holding gently, without variation, and rest continues naturally. The calm remains steady. Nothing changes as this quiet continues. Nothing shifts into something new. Awareness stays soft, unfocused, at rest. Breathing continues quietly. In, out. The rhythm remains the same, unremarkable, reliable. There is no need to notice it. The stillness holds without effort, without variation. Nothing asks for attention. Nothing offers itself to be followed. Awareness drifts lightly, then settles again. Thought does not form clearly now. If it appears, it fades before becoming distinct. There is nothing to respond to, nothing to consider. The body remains at ease, relaxed without sensation, supported without awareness. Breathing continues, quiet, automatic. Everything feels familiar now, predictable, safe. The quiet repeats itself gently, moment after moment. Nothing introduces itself as new. Nothing resolves. The calm simply continues. Breathing continues. In, out. Awareness rests, then drifts, then rests again. There is no effort in this rhythm. It happens on its own. The stillness remains unchanged, consistent, even. Nothing stands out. Nothing fades. The same quiet holds from moment to moment, smooth, unbroken. Breathing continues softly, barely noticed. The body remains settled, loose, at rest. Awareness moves in small, gentle cycles, drifting, settling, drifting, settling. Nothing needs to be followed. Nothing needs to be released. Everything stays the same. The calm repeats itself quietly, again and again. Breathing continues. In, out. The rhythm remains steady, familiar, soothing. Awareness rests within it easily, without effort, without thought. And the quiet continues, unchanged, carrying rest forward naturally. The quiet stays the same. Breathing continues. In, out. The rhythm does not change. It does not need to. Awareness rests, then drifts slightly, then rests again. There is no effort in this movement. It happens naturally. The calm repeats itself gently, moment after moment. Nothing enters the space. Nothing leaves it. The body remains settled, loose, at rest. Breathing continues softly, barely noticed, barely felt. The stillness holds, consistent, reliable. Awareness drifts, then settles. Drifts, then settles. There is nothing to follow, nothing to resolve. The same quiet remains present, unchanged. Breathing continues. In, out. Each breath feels familiar, predictable, safe. The body does not shift. It does not respond. Everything stays as it is. Awareness becomes less distinct, less interested in observing. Thought does not form clearly. If it appears, it fades immediately. There is nothing to hold on to, nothing to release. The calm repeats itself quietly, again and again. Breathing continues. In, out. The rhythm remains steady, unremarkable. Awareness rests within it easily, without effort, without intention. The stillness does not deepen, it does not lighten, it simply continues. The same quiet holds from one moment to the next, smooth, even. Breathing continues softly, barely noticed. The body remains at ease, supported without sensation. Awareness drifts, then settles. Drifts, then settles. Nothing changes. The calm remains familiar, reassuring in its sameness. Breathing continues. In, out. The rhythm carries on quietly, undisturbed. Awareness rests, then rests again. There is no need to notice anything else. Nothing waits ahead. Everything stays the same, and the quiet continues, gently repeating, carrying rest forward without interruption. The quiet remains unchanged. Breathing continues. In, out. The rhythm stays steady. It does not vary. It does not ask to be followed. Awareness rests, then drifts slightly, then rests again. The same pattern repeats itself gently, without effort, without intention. Nothing enters the space. Nothing leaves. The body remains settled, loose, at rest. Breathing continues softly, barely noticed, barely felt. The stillness holds, even, reliable. Awareness drifts, then settles. Drifts, then settles. Nothing needs to be observed. Nothing needs to be remembered. The calm repeats itself quietly, again and again. Breathing continues. In, out. Each breath feels familiar, predictable, safe. The body does not shift. It remains exactly as it is. Everything stays the same. Awareness becomes softer still, less defined, less interested. Thought does not form clearly. It fades before taking shape. There is nothing to respond to, nothing to resolve. The quiet continues, without change, smooth, unbroken. Breathing continues. In, out. The rhythm carries on, steady, undisturbed. Awareness rests within it easily, without effort, without thought. The calm remains consistent. Nothing deepens, nothing lightens. It simply continues, and rest is carried forward, gently, without interruption. The rhythm continues. Breathing happens quietly. In, out. The pattern no longer needs to repeat itself clearly. It simply continues in the background. Awareness rests, then softens further. There is less distinction now between drifting and settling. Both feel the same. The calm no longer cycles. It spreads evenly. Thought becomes faint, not gone, just distant. Ideas do not complete themselves. They soften before forming meaning, then dissolve. There is no need to notice this happening. Nothing requires attention. The body remains at ease, not heavy, not light, just present without effort. Breathing continues on its own, quiet, automatic. Awareness grows wider and less defined, less centered, less personal. There is no clear edge to thought now. No sentence forming fully. Only impressions that pass and fade. The stillness holds everything equally. Breath, body, awareness. Nothing stands apart. Time loses even its softness. Moments do not overlap anymore. They simply are. There is no sense of before, no sense of after. The calm feels uninterrupted, continuous. Thought no longer asks to be followed. It does not linger. It does not return. The body remains settled, unmoving, at rest. Breathing blends completely into the stillness, barely felt, barely noticed. Awareness thins further, less interested in form, less inclined to observe. There is no sense of self to maintain, nothing to hold together. Everything feels diffuse, even, quiet. The calm remains stable without repetition now. No pattern needed, no rhythm required. Rest continues naturally, without structure, without commentary. And awareness softens into that rest, quietly, without effort. Awareness becomes quieter still, not focused, not unfocused, just open. There is no effort to remain here. Nothing holds attention. Nothing pulls it away. Thought does not organize itself anymore. It arrives as a faint impression, then fades before becoming clear. There is no need to follow it, no need to release it. The body remains settled, resting without sensation, supported without awareness. Breathing continues somewhere in the background, soft, unremarkable. It does not ask to be noticed. Time no longer feels present, not stretched, not paused, simply absent. Moments do not separate from one another. They blend without edges. There is no beginning to this state, no end forming. The calm feels evenly distributed, nothing deeper, nothing lighter, just steady. Awareness drifts without direction, without destination, without interest. There is no sense of watching, no sense of doing, only resting. Thought grows even less distinct. Language loses its hold. Meaning softens. Impressions pass through quietly, leaving nothing behind. The body remains at ease. No movement, no response. Breathing continues naturally, barely felt. Awareness thins further, less defined, less personal. There is no boundary between rest and awareness now. They feel the same. The calm holds everything gently, without emphasis, without variation. Nothing needs to happen next. Nothing is expected. Rest continues on its own. Awareness settles into that rest, quietly, effortlessly. Awareness grows thinner, not fading suddenly, not drifting away, just becoming less defined. There is no clear center now, no place where attention gathers. Thought no longer forms ideas, only faint traces, soft impressions that do not stay. They pass without shape, without meaning. There is no need to notice this. Nothing depends on awareness. The body remains settled, at rest, unmoving. Breathing continues somewhere far back, quiet, automatic. It blends into the stillness completely. Time does not register, not slow, not fast, simply absent. Do not connect. They do not separate. They dissolve as they appear. There is no sequence to follow, no order to maintain. Awareness rests in a wide, even calm, uninterrupted, unconcerned. Thought has almost no presence now. It does not begin. It does not end. Language loses its structure. Meaning loosens. Nothing asks to be understood. The body remains comfortable, neutral, at ease. There is no sensation to follow, no signal to respond to. Breathing continues softly, barely felt. Awareness thins further, less personal, less distinct. There is no sense of you observing, no sense of anything being observed, only rest. The calm holds everything evenly. Breath, body, awareness. Nothing stands apart. Nothing needs to happen next. Nothing is anticipated. The stillness remains consistent, without rhythm, without pattern. Rest continues naturally, without guidance. Awareness settles into that rest, quietly, without effort. There is no edge to this state, no boundary to cross. Thought does not return. It does not linger. The body remains still, supported, at ease. Breathing continues quietly, somewhere in the background. Awareness becomes almost transparent, present without form. There is no distinction between rest and awareness now. They feel the same. The calm remains open and even, unchanging. Nothing interrupts it, and rest continues. Awareness becomes quieter still, not moving, not settling, just present without form. There is no sense of holding attention. Nothing gathers, nothing disperses. Thought does not return as language. Only faint impressions, soft traces that pass and fade. They do not ask to be followed. They do not stay. The body remains completely at ease, resting without sensation, supported without awareness. Breathing continues somewhere distant, soft, unremarkable. It blends into the stillness and disappears. Time has no place here, not stretched, not paused, simply absent. Moments do not connect. They do not separate. They dissolve as they appear. Awareness rests in an even calm, wide, uninterrupted. There is no sense of self to maintain, nothing to gather together. Everything feels diffuse, balanced, quiet. Thought has almost no presence now. It does not form. It does not linger. Language loses its hold completely. Meaning softens and fades. Nothing needs to be understood. The body remains neutral, comfortable, still. No sensation stands out. Nothing calls attention. Breathing continues gently, barely felt. Awareness thins further, less personal, less defined. There is no observer here, no observing, only rest. The calm holds everything evenly, without emphasis, without variation. Nothing approaches, nothing resolves. The stillness remains steady, unchanging. Rest continues on its own, without direction, without effort. Awareness settles into that rest, quietly, completely. There is no edge to this state, no transition waiting. Thought does not return. It does not begin again. The body remains supported, at ease, unmoving. Breathing continues softly, somewhere far back. Awareness becomes almost transparent, present without shape. There is no distinction between resting and being aware. They are the same. The calm remains open and even, holding gently, and rest continues. The calm does not change. It does not deepen. It does not lift. It simply remains. Awareness is very light now, so light it no longer gathers anywhere. There is no focus to follow, no place where attention settles. Breathing continues quietly, somewhere far back, barely present. The body rests without sensation, without outline, without weight. Everything feels distant in a gentle way. Not far, just quiet. Thought does not return. It has no shape here, no reason to appear. Time has no meaning. Moments do not arrive. They do not pass. They dissolve before being noticed. The stillness holds evenly, without rhythm, without pattern. Awareness drifts so lightly it is almost absent, present without effort, present without form. Nothing asks to be remembered. Nothing introduces itself as new. The calm remains familiar, unremarkable, safe. Breathing continues, soft, automatic. The body stays at rest, unmoving, supported. There is no edge to this quiet, no sense of nearing anything. The stillness simply continues. Awareness thins further, less distinct, less personal. There is no separation between rest and awareness now. They blend completely. Nothing stands out, nothing changes. The calm holds gently, without variation, and rest carries on. The quiet stays the same. Nothing shifts, nothing forms. Awareness is barely present now, not focused, not drifting, just there, without shape. Breathing continues somewhere distant, soft enough to disappear as it happens. The body remains completely at rest. No outline, no sensation, supported without awareness. Time does not appear. Moments do not arrive or leave. There is no sense of duration, only continuity. Thought does not return. There is nothing for it to attach to. The calm holds evenly, without emphasis, without change. Awareness thins again, so light it no longer feels separate from the quiet. There is no observer, no observing, only rest. Breathing continues quietly, automatic, unremarkable. The stillness remains open, unbroken. Nothing introduces itself. Nothing fades away. The body stays settled, unmoving, at ease. Awareness becomes almost absent now, present without form, present without identity. There is no edge to this state, no transition waiting. The calm simply continues, moment after moment, that does not feel like a moment. Rest carries on gently, without direction, without end, and the quiet remains. The stillness remains. Nothing emerges, nothing recedes. Awareness is faint now, not resting anywhere, not moving, just present without shape. Breathing happens somewhere far away, so soft it leaves no trace. The body stays at rest, unfelt, unnoticed. Time does not appear. There is no sequence, no duration, only continuity. Thought does not return. There is nothing for it to form around. The calm holds evenly, smooth, unbroken. Awareness thins again, so light it almost disappears. There is no sense of being here or elsewhere, no distinction. The quiet carries everything gently, without emphasis, without change. Breathing continues, automatic, distant. The body remains supported, still, at ease. Nothing needs to happen. Nothing waits ahead. The stillness does not deepen. It does not fade. It remains. Awareness blends completely into the calm. No boundary, no center. Rest continues on its own, without instruction, without end, and the quiet stays. The quiet remains. Nothing changes. Awareness is barely present now, so light it no longer gathers anywhere. Breathing continues somewhere distant, soft enough to pass unnoticed. The body rests completely, without outline, without sensation. Time does not appear. There is no before, no after, only this steady calm. Thought does not return. It has nothing to form around. The stillness holds evenly, unbroken, unremarkable. Awareness fades into that stillness, not disappearing, just no longer separate. There is no edge here, no transition waiting. The calm continues on its own. Quietly, naturally, and rest remains.